Hey, my name is Jimmy, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Photoshop to create a simple webcam overlay that you can use in your next live stream. Let's get into the video. Hey friends, my name is Jimmy, and welcome to the Elphazor gaming channel, where you'll find tutorials, tips and tricks to help you level up your stream. For those of you who don't know me, I've been a creative professional for over 15 years. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting the subscribe button to find more helpful videos like this in the future. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a simple webcam overlay that includes recent follower and recent donation indicators. I use something similar to this in my stream, and I thought it would be a good idea to create a tutorial since I've had a couple people ask about it during my streams. So the software we'll be using to create the overlay with is Adobe Photoshop. Photoshop is part of the Adobe Creative Cloud package. If you don't have Photoshop, don't worry. I'll leave a link in the description below to a free 7-day trial of the full version so that you can download it and use it yourself. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's jump into Photoshop and start creating. The first thing we'll need to do is set up a new document. We're going to set the dimensions to 1920 pixels high by 1080 pixels wide. I set the resolution to 72 dpi, while color mode can be RGB, and change the background contents to transparent. We'll keep the pixel aspect ratio to square pixels. Okay, lastly, let's hit create. Let's select the rectangle tool and then click on the canvas. This will bring up the create rectangle dialog box. Let's create a rectangle that's 1920 by 1080 and then hit OK. Next, let's center the rectangle on the canvas, so we'll enter 0, 0 for the X and Y coordinates in the Properties panel. The rectangle is a bit large, so let's scale it down a bit. Grab one of the bounding boxes while holding Alt and Shift at the same time. This will allow us to scale from the center while keeping the proportions of the rectangle. Scale the rectangle down however you see fit. Okay, I think that looks pretty good there. Next, we'll need to create the actual frame of the overlay. While we have our rectangle selected, bring up the rectangle tool. Let's remove the fill and then add a stroke to the rectangle. Select any color you like and make it as thick or as thin as you like. Now let's add a bit of detail to our frame. We're going to create a couple of green slashes or diagonal shapes to the frame. I'm going to create a rectangle that's the same height as the frame. Next, let's pick the color of the diagonals. I'm going to choose a shade of green to match the Elphazor branding, but feel free to choose whatever color you like. Let's drag the rectangle over our frame and then rotate it at an angle. I'm going to hover over the upper right bounding box until I see the rotate icon, and then click and drag while holding the shift key and rotate it to 30 degrees and scale up. Next, we'll create a clipping mask. What a clipping mask does is it defines the visual boundaries of a group of layers. So in this case, we want the green diagonal to show up only in the boundaries of the frame. To create the clipping mask, place the diagonal layer over the frame layer and hover the cursor in between the two layers while holding Alt. Once you get the square and arrow icon, go ahead and click. This will create a clipping mask. Next, I'm going to duplicate the diagonal in the layer panel and then position it to the right. Alright, so next let's create the recent follower and recent donation indicators. First, I'm going to duplicate the frame by holding Alt and dragging the frame layer. Next, let's remove the stroke and add a fill. I'm going to scale the rectangle to an appropriate size. I'm going to move the rectangle down a bit to give it some separation between the frame. Next, I'll duplicate the rectangle one more time for the follower icon area, and then change the color to match the same green as the diagonals. Let's bring up the direct selection tool by hitting A on the keyboard and select the 2 points on the right. Next, I'm going to make the rectangle a bit smaller and scale down. Next, I'm going to select one of the points this time, and then move it a bit to the left to give one side of the rectangle a bit of an angle. Let's go ahead and group the two layers together and name it Recent Follower. Okay, let's create the recent donation indicator by duplicating the recent follower group. Since we have some separation between everything, I'm going to add something to fill in that empty space. Some people may choose to keep their separation, but I would rather not, so I'm going to add a white rectangle in the back to fill in the gap. Let's grab the rectangle tool and make a rectangle that is the size of the two indicators. Once you have it set, I'm going to move the layer to the bottom so that it's behind everything else. So let's go ahead and add a social media bar to the top of the frame. I'm going to duplicate one of the rectangles from the follower indicator and move it above the frame. Next, let's change the color to green. Let's go ahead and duplicate the white backing and put it behind the social bar also. Now let's go ahead and add the follower and donation icons. To create a star for the recent follower, use the custom shape tool to create a star. And for the recent donation icon, I'm going to just use the text tool to create a $sign. I used the Agva font for this one. For the social icons and tags, I simply grab the ones I use in my actual webcam overlay. If you need any of the social platform logos, such as Facebook or Instagram, you can get them directly from the platform's website. The best way to find them is to Google them and download them accordingly. Lastly, I added the Elphazor gaming logo to the social area. Don't ever forget to add your branding so everyone who comes to your channel knows who you are. Quickly, before we save, let's check to make sure everything looks correct by adding a background color. Sometimes things get shifted out of place and I just want to make sure everything is aligned properly. We do that by adding a layer to the back and filling it with color. In this case, I'm going to use black. As you can see, the white rectangles are a bit out of place, so let's fix that. Okay, so now that everything is good to go, let's trim the canvas to fit only the webcam area. To do this, go to the image menu and select trim. Make sure transparent pixels is checked along with top, left, bottom, and right. Hit OK and everything is trimmed. So we've completed the overlay. Let's go ahead and save the Photoshop file. Lastly, let's save a PNG for use in a streaming software like OBS or Streamlabs OBS. Navigate to the File menu and select Save As. Select PNG as the format. Find the destination where you want to save your PNG and make sure to name it something that makes sense to you. When you're ready, hit save. So there you have it. I showed you how to create a simple webcam overlay, all using Photoshop. Hey, if you found value in this video, hit the like button and subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Question for you. What software are you using to create your stream graphics with? Are they animated or are they static? Let me know in the comments below. Hey, thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video.